This video will explain literally everything about the game, including all 27 of my theories and stuff that you can't even normally see just from the game alone. If you appreciate the effort, then like, subscribe, and comment. I will go in the order that the game is normally played in. On the starting screen, we have the TV, the tapes, and we have this frame that we can have a better look if we go into free cam. Now, there are 4 versions of this photo that you can get randomly when you start the game, but it doesn't change if you restart. But from ripping the assets of the game, you can see these photos. One has the eyes, but it's completely white. One has it crossed out, and another has the entire face crossed out, and the last one seems to be a pretty realistic picture, but it's pixelated. Now, for the first theory, these two are siblings because the files are titled Family Photos version 1, 2, and we skipped 3 for some reason, 4 and 5. Now, the fact that 2 of these actually have their eyes or face crossed out means that these two are likely dead. And theory 3 is that this is the original girl and she turned into Amanda based on her clothing changing into Amanda's clothing being orange and blue. This is a very strong indicator because the developer had to draw this image so they couldn't have just made a coincidence with their clothes coloring. And for theory 4, this boy is turned into Wooly because there's a lot of resemblances. His sweater is gray, which is a shade of white, just like Wooly's fur. The sweater also looks very fluffy, just like Wooly's wool, and his hair on the top of his head is curly. So both the boy and girl looks like they transformed into Amanda and Wooly from the show because the characters actually interact with the player and are seemingly alive, unlike a normal show. Next, let's talk about the flickering images. First of all, these thingies on the bottom, they are not Morse code. A lot of people have tried it and it turns out to be some gibberish like OOGM or something else, but they don't really make up an actual word. For the first one, we have the face of a murdered victim. We got the eyes up here, the nose, and their mouth looks like it's been cut wide open, and that's how she was killed. Then we have this image, which looks like right here on the top right, a set of VHS tapes, 3 of them. So using these 2 images and knowing the ending where the monster pops out, we go to theory 5, which is that she is the previous owner of these tapes that we are watching. We also have this image, which looks like a recording of the inside of a room going out into the hallway. Then we have a blurry image of an enclosed space, another one, and another one. So for theory 6, when the monster escaped into this person's room, while recording, they ran out into the hallway, into some other room, but at this point, the recording was damaged because the monster got to them. And that's why the recording looks damaged at this point. Now let's go to episode 1.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Wooly.
And I love apples. Do you like apples?
Now at this point, Amanda is acting very normal, and in the back bottom right we can see that there is the shadow of perhaps a monster's hand behind the bush. So theory 8 is that Amanda is innocent at the start of the tapes because she is not one with the monster just yet. We gotta say no here, which you can type in even though it's only 2 letters.
I'm allergic to apples.
That's okay. You should never be afraid to try something new.
But we don't even know where the store is.
Do you know where the store is?
A lot of things just happened right there. Wooly was very shocked when Amanda was telling him to never be afraid to try something new, which in this case being apples. So this seems like a cry for help because even Wooly, her partner, was shocked at what she was saying, and pretty much everyone who I saw played this part was also very shocked and confused at what Amanda said. So it was a very effective cry for help from Amanda, who's being threatened by the monster at this moment. And theory 9 is that all these objects with eyes and we're moving left and right are actually trapped souls, with the victim in the TV image being one of them. That's why they move left and right. They're trying to actually escape from the objects. A lot of people pointed out that the sun is sus because he is pretty much the only object that has a full face. Everything else just has eyes. And he looks really happy. But this is actually pretty common for a kids show. And the sun literally does not do anything else the entire game. So I think it's safe to say that he's actually just one of the original objects that were animated for the show.
Do you know where the store is? Do you know where the store is? Yeah, that's right. Let's go. We're at the store.
It sure looks crowded. Bah.
And look, there are apples. Can you see apples?
Another reason for the soul theory is that Wooly here says that it sure looks crowded here when there's pretty much no one else around except for the objects with eyes. So if we actually consider the produce with eyes people that are trapped in there, then it is actually pretty crowded. And notice earlier Amanda didn't get too upset when we got the answer wrong twice.
Say apple. Apple.
And notice there, she got visibly upset, but only for a split second. So theory 11, Amanda right now is slowly going from being innocent to being controlled. So at this point, we can see that she's physically fighting for control over the entity, which makes her frown when we get the answer wrong twice.
Good job. Now we can make apple pie.
When the credits show up right there, it has a lot of references. Heath Starvey here is clearly Steve Harvey. Hertz Donut, I guess it's a actual place, Hertz Donut. Leif Erikson is from SpongeBob, where they had a day dedicated to him. And Smitty Warben German Jensen. He was number 1 in SpongeBob. Huge McThankies from Alvin McSpankies. This is from a Jimmy Neutron episode where Jimmy was working at an ice cream place or something like that. But in between all of that, it also says, turn the TV off now. Theory 12. This is Amanda's last-ditch effort to warn the player to turn off the TV, since originally the show wasn't supposed to do any of this. And it's Amanda because we know that she can make words appear on the screen as the main character asking the player questions. As well as the fact that the monster wouldn't want us to turn off the TV so that it can do its plan and escape to kill us. And if you're wondering, we cannot turn off the TV. None of these buttons work. The only interactable thing here officially are the tapes.
Oh, it's you. Okay, we don't have much time. Whatever you do, don't...
Hi everyone. I'm Amanda.
I'm Wooly.
Today we're going to get meat for Grandma.
But isn't Grandma a vegetarian?
Can you tell us where the butcher is?
So at this point, Wooly has finally been seeing that his friend is being corrupted by the monster. So he tries to warn us, the player, to don't, which, could mean a lot of things. Probably the obvious things being don't listen to Amanda, don't watch the tape anymore, similar to how Amanda tried to warn us to turn off the TV. He just says don't before the monster stopped him because he has some control over the show at this point. And theory 13, Wooly saying Grandma is a vegetarian means that they weren't meant to originally go get meat in the show, but probably ice cream for the vegetarian grandma, since the building is right next to the meat place. So that means that Amanda isn't getting meat for Grandma. She has an alternative reason to go to the meat place. The reason likely being to kill Wooly because he's getting in the way by trying to stop the viewer from going along with the monster's plan. Theory 14. The pile of blood on the floor belongs to the murdered ice cream shop owner because they are no longer needed in the show. Leaving them alive could have caused to some kind of complication with the show, since they probably should have been the one to appear.
Can you tell us where the butcher is?
Wooly shaking his head here.
The butcher?
And now he's completely terrified. Meanwhile, Amanda is just trying to rush to the butcher's right now to get rid of him.
There it is. Let's go. Hello, meat man. Can you tell the meat man what we need?
Theory 15. That long pause that just happened is the monster finally fully possessing Amanda. This is probably why he hasn't gotten rid of Wooly already, because he didn't have full control of Amanda at the start of the tapes. This is also evident when he becomes more aggressive when we get the answers wrong.
Can you tell the meat man what we need? Tell him what we need.
He starts shouting and his whole face just convulses with anger, as well as full on almost launching at Wooly in the end while he flinches back. This didn't happen in the earlier scenes, so we can tell now that something has changed. Something huge, like the monster just completely being in control of Amanda's body at this point. Theory 16. Another thing about the butcher's place is that the butcher is a soulless puppet. He has no ears, no nose, no mouth, no hands, nor even eyebrows. His eyes are literally glued on googly eyes, facing both directions right now. Even the meat has more realistic eyes. His body is a square with no elbows. And another thing for the objects have soul theory is that the meat that he brings out has no eyes. So if they wanted to keep the souls trapped, they wouldn't cut up the object with eyes. They would bring out an actual normal piece of meat that has no eyes for the cutting part instead.
It's dark out. Let's go home.
Theory 17. The fully possessed Amanda from the last tape killed Wooly and his remains are right here on the floor. Theory 18. This house is the player's house. It is more realistic than the episode 1 house, and there are no eyes on the objects, which means that the trapped souls are not here, so it's closer to reality than it is the show.
Home. Point to the house.
And notice the way she's talking. The tone has changed dramatically. She says, "Let's go home." Home. Click the house. She's just ordering you around instead of asking questions like she did before. So this right now is the monster, unscripted, fully possessing Amanda. Theory 18. When you choose the playground twice, it disappears along with the moon. So it's possible that it was just an illusion and the moon wasn't there, indicating that it's a lunar eclipse, which is when the monster is at its strongest and can possess Amanda fully. Because we know that in a lot of cultures and religions and superstitions, when there's a lunar cycle, supernatural, scary stuff happens. Which would explain why Amanda wasn't controlled from the start. It's possible that the monster's power is the strongest during the lunar eclipse, and the closer it gets to the night of the lunar eclipse, the stronger the monster becomes. Therefore, he was able to start possessing during the butcher's place, and now that it's night, he can invade our world.
Knock on the door. I want to go inside. Let me in.
Again, a lot more behavior that the normal Amanda would not do. So the words that she said right there, that was a little bit distorted, were "say hello." We can confirm this in the game files. Right here, the tapes and scenes are usually titled what Amanda actually says in the game. And on tape 3, scene 3, the title is "Say Hello." And also, if you speed up the audio a bit, you will actually hear "say hello" pretty easily. And for this part, the correct code is actually hell X that we can find out using this program to hack the game. Typing input.correct word, hell X. And the X in this case represents, I believe, anything. But it doesn't really matter, because after you type more than 2 words, the game will overflow and do what it always does. So I'll copy and paste the correct code here, and you can also type more than the amount of space that it provides, but that will always happen. That was the monster jumping into the player's house out of Amanda's body, being shown by how her body became static white noise afterwards. The monster does to the player what it did to the victim on the TV, killed us and trapped our souls into the tapes forever. Now, a lot of people thought that the monster kind of looks like a combination of Wooly and Amanda. And while it's not official, in the game files, we have a audio file that says True Amanda. When I double click it, the sound at the end of the game when the monster pops up appears. This confirms that the monster is the true form of the possessed Amanda. We do know that there is one and only one secret code here, which is lamb.
Tell him what we need.
Amanda gets very upset when you type lamb because it's not meat. She only wants you to type meat, which is theory 20. The monster does not want you to see the secret tape at all. Right here, the tape appears out of nowhere. Theory 21. This tape is actually not real. This is likely the missing tape titled Let Me Out, with a message being sent from the trapped souls in the game that the monster physically destroyed and crossed out the title of. This could explain why the E is backwards on episode 2, because the monster made it so that the secret tape was hidden inside episode 2. This is why the tape, when you insert it right here, will not make a sound when you play it. No sounds, just goes in smoothly. And there is the secret location. Theory 22. The location shown is the trapped souls, telling us where the bodies of the 2 kids who were murdered can be found. It might contain the monster's weakness, which is why when it notices, it jumps out and kills the player right away when you type in pretty much anything with the overflow. In a previous patch, you would see houses with cars, a forest with a little small road, and then these pork carcasses with an 826, which is not actually a code. I tried it everywhere already. Each of them had a 6-letter code that would all be Wooly and end the tape immediately. The first 2 you can type anything, but the third one, it forces you to type in Wooly. Theory 23. So for that patch, the theory is that the monster noticed that you were watching the tapes that you weren't supposed to watch, so it forced you to type in the code that ends and destroys the tape, being Wooly. And there being a picture of pork carcasses instead of lamb could be a way that an entity is telling us that Wooly was not killed after typing in lamb. Theory 24. The tape that has a location with a red circle had some letters and numbers on it. There's Vi right here, which in Roman numerals could also be 6. And then there's 30, 20, 22 up here. Now there's also one frame that has an S right here if you pay attention. Right there. Just one single frame. I'm just moving back and forth between it. That it says 5 or S. I'm thinking that it's not intentional because it's only one frame. He can't really expect anyone to catch that, I believe. So if we put it all together, 6/30/2022 could be a date, June 30, 2022. This could be the date where they talk about their big meaty update that they mentioned 47 days ago on April 13. We'd like to talk more about plans with this game, but that'll come down the line in a more meaty update post soon. And recently, we actually found out that the coordinates of this location is right here. As you can see, there's the patch of dirt and a Vi, with 2022 being the Google watermarks. And the most interesting thing about this is that It's in Canada, Ontario, next to Hamilton. And Hamilton, Ontario is where James Pratt, the lead developer, lives. So Theory 26, it's possible that the developer that lives here might have actually just drove out here to the location to give us a sign or maybe hide something for someone to discover. As of this video, it doesn't seem like anyone has explored the area yet, so we don't know if there's any importance to the physical location. But if there is, then I will update you guys in a future video. And that was pretty much everything in the game that we could find so far, and I included a lot of my theories to make sense of what we found. I didn't go into too much detail since it would make the video way too long. So if there was anything you want more in-depth explanation on, then find the video in my Amanda playlist. Like and subscribe. See you later.